Sure. The first myth I hear is that abortion pill reversal is not safe. And so I respond to that by, first of all, by quote Dr. Daniel Grossman from University of California, San Francisco, who's a big abortion researcher and a big opponent of abortion pill reversal. He's been opposing this probably since he heard about APR. He was interviewed by an online news outlet called Slate. And in that, I'll paraphrase, it said, Grossman feels that if progesterone is given in this situation under medical supervision, that it would be safe.
Welcome to Caring for Both, a curbside consult series by the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, or AAPLOG. On this podcast, we bring on experts to provide insights to support you as a medical professional in your life-affirming career. I'm your host for today, Dr. Christina Francis. I'm a board-certified OBGYN and also CEO here at AAPLOG. We're so excited today to have on Dr. George Delgado, who is the founder of the Abortion Pill Reversal Network and also a longtime AAPLOG board member. He's here today to talk about his new book, Abortion Pill Reversal, A Second Chance at Choice, which can now be ordered at ignatius.com or on Amazon, and we'll have those links for you in the show notes. Dr. Delgado is the president and founder of the Steno Institute, and since 2005, he has been the medical director of Culture of Life Family Services in San Diego, California. George, thanks so much for being on today.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's great to have you on. George, I know you and I are both well aware of the fact that the number of deaths of preborn children through chemical abortion pills has really skyrocketed here in the U.S., and chemical abortions are now making up about 63% of all abortions, and actually likely more than that, given that we don't have any national abortion reporting laws to formally track these numbers, and of course these pills are now being dispensed online. AAPLOG has long been a prominent voice pointing out the deep regret that women often feel after having an abortion. However, as we're going to talk about today, abortion pill reversal, or APR, offers a second chance at choice for women who take the pill and then regret it and want to keep their babies. And it also offers their preborn children a second chance at life. George, thanks to your pioneering work, APR has now been able to save the lives of approximately 7,000 children. However, the public and even medical professionals have been fed myths about APR with claims that it's unsafe and unproven, often by medical organizations like ACOG or the American College of OBGYNs. And yet nothing could be farther from the truth. In his new book, Dr. Delgado goes through the background of how mifepristone was approved and then how APR started. He recalls compelling stories by women who attempted to reverse their chemical abortions, as well as one from the doctor who performed the first documented reversal, who, by the way, is also an AAPLOG member, and goes over testimonies of 3 APR hotline nurses. So we're so excited today to have a conversation with Dr. Delgado about all of this and how we as medical professionals can debunk the myths that are surrounding APR. So, Dr. Delgado, let's just jump in, and let me be hopefully one of the first to say congratulations on the release of your new book.
Thank you. It's very exciting to have it out there in the hands of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first off, can you just tell us what inspired you to write this book? Not a lot of physicians sit down and write a full book. So what inspired you to get this book out there?
Yeah, I'll tell you the why and the how, if that's okay. The why was that exactly, you alluded to it a little earlier, that people mostly get their news from mainstream media sources who get their medical stories from ACOG and AMA and sources like that are vehemently opposed to abortion pill reversal. So I felt that the people really needed to get the straight story, not the filtered story, and so they could make up their minds for themselves. So that was the why of why I did it. And I actually thought about doing this maybe 3 years ago, And I got started. I wrote an introductory chapter, and I started reaching out to women who might want to share their stories. But things got busy with conducting studies on APR and other things. So I set it aside, and then I got a phone call from representatives of Ignatius Press who said they wanted me to write the book. And I said, well, actually, I've already started it, but I put it on a back burner, so I better get going. And that's the how of, then I accelerated my work and got it done. And they liked what they saw, so they published it.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited for many people who maybe aren't aware of the sort of origins of abortion pill reversal, how it came about, to learn that, and also about just the really sordid history of mifepristone too, and why abortion pill reversal is needed. So let's jump in and talk about abortion pill reversal for those maybe who are hearing about it for the first time, or maybe have heard about it but don't really know what it is. Can you tell us what is abortion pill reversal, and how does it work?
Sure. So first of all, it's important to know, for those who aren't familiar with progesterone, how important that is for pregnancy. Progesterone is an acronym, progestational steroid kinone. And that name was devised because it is absolutely essential for pregnancy. And many of us know, of course, that with very low progesterone levels, a woman would be doomed to miscarriage time after time again. So that progesterone is so important. What mifepristone, which is the first drug in the two-drug cocktail of the abortion pill, does, it blocks the receptors for progesterone. So it doesn't allow progesterone to do the good things. And one of the most important things that progesterone does, of course, is it allows very tight adherence of the placenta to the wall of the uterus. When I speak to lay audiences, I call it the super glue of the placenta. And so by blocking the effects of progesterone, the placenta separates, and that leads to the death of the preborn baby. So our theory with abortion pill reversal, and really my idea from the very beginning, was that although these women may not have low progesterone levels, in a certain sense we could treat them as women who do have low progesterone levels and have threatened miscarriage situations. In those cases, of course, we give supplemental progesterone. We're often able to save those babies who are in threatened miscarriage situations. Well, these women, I figured, if we give supplemental progesterone, perhaps we can outcompete the mifepristone on a molecular level, so that when that mifepristone comes off the receptor, it's more likely that a progesterone molecule will go onto the receptor, activate it, and keep that placenta well adhered to the wall of the uterus in order to save the baby. We maintain those levels for at least a couple of weeks to let the mifepristone and its metabolites wash out of the system, and also to allow some recovery, because we know that mifepristone also has a feedback effect, blocking progesterone production at the corpus luteum.
Absolutely. Well, and it really works through, when people try to claim that this is junk science or somehow it's experimental, to give this, it's working through a known biochemical principle that, all of us who took biochemistry in undergrad and then in medical school learned about, which is the principle of reversible competitive inhibition. And, the manufacturers of mifepristone even showed that mifepristone was reversible by adding back in progesterone and some of the other substrates that it's meant to block.
Right, yeah. We actually have several, not only do we have what I call the biologic logic that you just mentioned, but we have several levels of evidence, starting with cultured syncytial trophoblasts, which are placental cells that normally produce placental hormones, and it's been shown that when you add mifepristone, they stop producing those hormones, and if you add progesterone to the mix, then it starts producing 3 out of the 4 hormones. So that shows reversibility right there. It also has been shown in rat and rabbit models. Dr. Stephen Samut most recently developed a very elegant model that closely mimics the human experience, where the mifepristone is given first, then the progesterone subsequent to that, showing that changes do begin to occur, including vaginal bleeding and also decrease in weight gain in the pregnant rats that are given mifepristone. And then, so that shows that the abortion process has begun. But then when the progesterone is added, those changes are reversed, hence the term reversal is a good one. And then the rats go on to carry those embryos to term. And then of course the human studies, there have been all of our studies and studies out of Australia with Joe Turner and others, and that more studies are coming online. And some elegant studies using women who were surgically infertile but hormonally fertile, where these women were given mifepristone. They had biopsies of the endometrium. They showed that mifepristone blocked the effects of hundreds of genes in those endometrial cells. And then when those women were given, in another cycle, given mifepristone followed by progesterone, about 80% of the genes that were blocked were reactivated by the progesterone, again, showing reversibility right there.
Wow, wow. And yet the claim oftentimes, which I know we're going to get to, is that we have no evidence to back up abortion pill reversal. Of course, we know that's not the case. And you go into a lot of this in your book as well. I think when we talk about abortion pill reversal, George, it's easy to get into the scientific evidence that supports it and sort of into the data. But then pulling back a little bit, we've got to remember too, the whole reason that we're doing this is for those preborn human beings that we are trying to help save when their moms regret their abortion decision. I'm sure you probably have so many wonderful stories, either that you've been told or that you've experienced yourself. But can you tell us maybe about one that sticks out in your mind of a baby that was saved from abortion pill reversal?
Sure, yeah. One of the ones that's always been at the top of my mind, and I was very blessed that the mother and the father of the baby both wrote chapters for the book. And this was Cynthia and Jael. And this was my first in-person reversal in San Diego. My very first one was actually by telephone, connecting a doctor with the woman. But this one, they were both in college. They were struggling. They weren't getting much traction in their lives. And she found out she was pregnant. So she sought the advice of all of her family members. All of her family said, yeah, go get an abortion. That's the best thing for you to do. Actually, her mother gave her the money to go have the abortion. Jael, the boyfriend, just kind of went along with whatever she wanted. She went to the abortion center, and it was interesting because most of the women that we've talked to have regret very soon after taking the pill, but she had regret before taking the pill while she was in the abortion center. She bolted and ran out into the parking lot and was sobbing uncontrollably. He tailed her, followed her out there, her boyfriend Jael, and tried to comfort her. And at that point, he had a change of heart. He said, look, we can do this. I'll support you. We can have this baby. But for some reason, she felt in her heart that she had to go through with her original plan. So she gathered herself. She went back in. She took the abortion pill. And they left, and they were waiting to take the second one, the misoprostol. Well, by that time, her mother had repented of what she had done by giving her the money. She had gone to confession to a priest. And the priest said, oh, by the way, do you know that Dr. Delgado in town can reverse her abortion if she's interested? Somehow he knew about this very early on. So she told her daughter. The daughter was not that interested at first. She tried to persuade her. She finally agreed to talk to the priest. She talked to the priest. The priest convinced her to talk to me. We talked on the phone several times on a Saturday, back and forth, back and forth. She even hung up on me at one point. Then she called back and apologized for hanging up. Finally, she agreed to come in to have an ultrasound. When she came in, her body language was kind of not very receptive. Her arms were crossed. She was looking down. I went with my wife, who's a nurse, and she was the chaperone, and as they were ready to give progesterone if needed. I did the ultrasound. As soon as I could see the baby and the heart beating, they both started crying, and she decided right then to reverse the abortion. We started progesterone that night. Everything went splendidly. During the pregnancy, she had a very, very healthy baby boy that they named Christian. And the story doesn't end there, however. Later, more recently, now Christian is high school age, she was writing her chapter for the book. She left her computer open. Christian happened to wander by and look, and he read it, and he said, Mom, is that about me? And before she could answer her question, he had a big smile on his face, and he said, I'm a miracle baby. So indeed he is, and indeed those babies are. And so it's a great story of redemption, of transformation, because not only as APR save the physical life of the preborn baby, but I think many times it helps some mothers save her spiritual life. So many of these women I've seen have gone on just better trajectories and much healthier paths in their lives after experiencing APR.
Oh, what an amazing story. What an amazing story. And the fact that now he's able to know that he's alive because of the miracle, the intervention of abortion pill reversal, which is so great. And yeah, the story that you're telling is similar to just the feelings of regret and things like that are similar to many patients I've spoken to who realize, as you said, often soon after they take the pill. I remember speaking with she's actually somebody who works with the Abortion Pill Reversal Network now, but had attempted abortion pill reversal herself, and said what I've heard many women say, in that once she found out she was pregnant, it was like she was walking around in a fog and couldn't really think clearly. And then as soon as she took the abortion pill, it was like in her mind the crisis had passed. And so then all of a sudden that fog lifted because she thought the crisis was over, and then all of a sudden she could think clearly for the first time since she found out she was pregnant, and then thought, oh my goodness, what on earth did I do? So I think that's a very common thing, and for us to be able to have this miraculous intervention, this simple treatment that we can do to help save a baby's life is so wonderful. But it's also so disheartening to me that that option is being withheld from many women who want it because of lies that are being told about abortion pill reversal, and about how effective it can be and how safe it is. Can you give us just a couple of the common myths that you hear about APR, maybe from other medical professionals, and what your response to those myths is?
Sure. The first myth I hear is that abortion pill reversal is not safe. And so I respond to that by, first of all, by quote Dr. Daniel Grossman from University of California, San Francisco, who's a big abortion researcher and a big opponent of abortion pill reversal. So he's been opposing this probably since he heard about APR. He was interviewed by an online news outlet called Slate. And in that, I'll paraphrase, it said, Grossman feels that if progesterone is given in this situation under medical supervision, that it would be safe. So there he's acknowledging that that what we're doing is very, very safe. Then it goes on to say, however, he's afraid that if more women hear about this, that it will exaggerate the prevalence of abortion regret. And so that really, to me, is the real reason why they're opposing us so vociferously, is that they know that if all of us know that some people change their minds after starting their chemical abortions and seek to reverse them, that blows a huge hole in their narrative that abortion is a great good for all women, because if it were a great good for all women, why would some women regret their abortions and try to stop them? So that's the first myth. And I also point them to the Krennan 2020 article, which was an attempt to disprove APR. It's so far the only randomized controlled trial of APR using a placebo. And in that terminated study, 3 women called 911 and went to the emergency department. One of them was in the progesterone group. And when she got to the emergency department, it said that no further treatment was necessary. So in other words, she didn't need to be there. That was no reason to stop the study. Mm-hmm. The other 2 women were in the placebo group, and one of them needed a blood transfusion, and both of them needed emergency suction DNCs in order to complete their abortions. So what that study, if it showed anything about safety, was that taking progesterone is safe, and that not doing anything after taking mifepristone might be unsafe. And in fact, Dr. Krennan in that study even says that the side effects from progesterone were equal to placebo. So both Dr. Krennan and both Dr. Grossman are saying in different ways that abortion pill reversal is safe. So that really, I think, counters that first myth that abortion pill reversal is not safe. It very much is safe. And we know that, by the way, progesterone has been used in pregnancy for over 60 years. All IVF doctors and women that become pregnant under their care put women on progesterone for the first trimester routinely. And we know that mifepristone does not cause birth defects. And both in our studies, which now our studies are the largest case series showing that mifepristone does not cause birth defects, but also AAPLOG opinions state that too. The next is that it's not effective. And so I counter that by saying, well, how do you explain the more than 7,000 babies who are alive after abortion pill reversal if it's not effective? And if we look at Dr. Mary Davenport's 2017 article, she very carefully looked at the mifepristone-only studies before they introduced misoprostol to the cocktail. Well, we found that at best, survival is 25%. If nothing is done, a woman takes mifepristone. And we think that's probably a very generous figure, but we wanted to be safe with that. And when you compare our study, even Dr. Crennan's study, and Dr. Joe Turner's study, all the studies, all of them show statistical significance if you compare the success rate, the reversal rate, compared to the 25% survival if nothing else is done. And so success rates in the different studies range from about 56 to 68%. So we're very happy with that. It's a very favorable comparison to the 25%. And then the next myth is that, well, women rarely, if ever, have regret and want to reverse their abortion, so there's no reason to have this at all. And of course, the data speak otherwise. When you look at a very comprehensive study of REMS data before the guidelines were changed for what had to be reported with mifepristone during the Biden administration. We have lots of data of women who had continuing pregnancies, and the high percentage of those who wanted to continue their pregnancies after that. And depending on the different studies, including a study by Dr. Crennan himself, anywhere from 5% on the very conservative side up to ranges of maybe 25% or higher. So we know that that it's not absolutely rare, that there are women who do change their minds. And if they do change their minds, why not give them a second chance at choice? If you want to give them a first chance at choice, why not a second chance at choice?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that last point is so important because, as you said, even if there was only one woman ever who regretted her decision and wanted to save her baby, if we have a safe and effective treatment, why wouldn't we offer it even just for that one? But of course, the way mifepristone is being dispensed now, where women oftentimes have zero interaction with a medical professional, they really receive no counseling, no screening for coercion, no screening to see, is this in fact really what you want? I know from talking with pregnancy centers who are offering abortion pill reversal that the number of calls, and I think the number of calls coming into the network has increased significantly since these pills became available online, because women are getting zero counseling before they order these pills. And so I think the risk of regret is higher because of that.
Absolutely, I'm seeing that too. It's so easy to get them. I went online myself several months ago just to test the system, and after 6 clicks, they were asking for my credit card information so I could buy the abortion pills online. It's very, very easy, so it does not require much reflection, and so that I think there will be more regret.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think the issue of abortion pill reversal, unfortunately, has been very politicized now. It is under attack in multiple states, including Colorado, California. In New York, Letitia James, the Attorney General there, filed a lawsuit against 11 pregnancy centers for promoting what she termed scientifically unfounded treatments with abortion pill reversal. How have you seen this sort of politicization and, again, just these lies about abortion pill reversal affect the medical community? And has this attitude, do you think, permeated into the medical community from what you've seen?
Yeah, so I see, when I look at the medical community, I see kind of 3 broad categories in this regard. One is those who are pro-life and will do anything within their power that is medically reasonable and safe to save lives. And those are people like you and me and many of our listeners, I think. Then there's the group that are so tied to the ideology, or they're so tied to the profits of abortion that it would be very, very difficult to change their minds. Then there's the middle group, and those who are reasonable people, like Dr. Harvey Kleinman, who I quote in the book, who had said that he's personally pro-choice, but that if his daughter happened to accidentally, or was pregnant and accidentally took mifepristone, he would definitely use progesterone to treat her. He thinks he bets it would work. So the middle people, the ones who are reasonable, often are being influenced by all this litigation, because physicians sort of as a group we're kind of risk averse, and we don't like to hear about lawsuits because of bad stories we've heard. And so this is definitely having an effect on them. Many of them don't want to get involved will shy away from helping women who call out to them for help, and or are going to trust what AAPLOG says because they don't know about the bias of AAPLOG, and they don't know that AAPLOG has never polled its membership about abortion. That AAPLOG is essentially, and by its own declaration, an abortion advocacy organization. So many of them don't realize that. They think that AAPLOG is just a great mainline, mainstream OBGYN organization which always gives good information. They also often think the same thing about the AMA and AAFP. But then the litigation only makes it worse, and so makes them want to just kind of put on blinders and look forward and not stray from the road that they're on right now.
Absolutely. Well, and if people, I would encourage, if there's anyone listening or watching this episode, first of all, to obviously get Dr. Delgado's book, because it goes into much greater detail about the scientific evidence that supports abortion pill reversal. But I'd also encourage people to do a deep dive. If you have listened to what AAPLOG says, that it's junk science, I'd encourage people to do a deeper dive, to really look at the evidence, and even to look at AAPLOG's own documents. In fact, in their document on medication abortion, where they say that abortion pill reversal is essentially junk science, that there's nothing to support it, they also, in the same document, say not to give Depo-Provera, which of course is a large dose of a progestin, a different kind, a different formulation of progesterone, but not to give that at the same time as mifepristone because it, and I quote, increases the risk of ongoing pregnancy. So they acknowledge that even progestins, which are not as effective as progesterone at counteracting the effect of mifepristone, could potentially negate the effects of mifepristone and lead to that baby surviving that abortion attempt. So I think it is really important for people to be critical thinkers of especially anything that AAPLOG puts out in regards to the issue of abortion, because they just choose to ignore a lot of evidence.
Right. Now, my dad about my book, Abortion Pill Reversal, Second Chance at Choice, it was written for the general public. So those of you who are not medical professionals, you'll find it very easy to read. But for those who are medical professionals, they'll still find it. They'll get very, very good information from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, George, as we wrap up here, I think, what would you say for why it's important I think we've talked about why it's important for the medical community to be educated on abortion pill reversal, even if a physician isn't pro-life. If they have a patient who's coming to them who regrets her abortion decision and wants to save her baby, we obviously want to be able to offer this treatment to her. But for the public in particular, why do you think it's so important that every member of the public should be aware about abortion pill reversal, even if they themselves may never have an abortion?
Well, it's because we all have spheres of influence, and people in this situation, a woman might take mifepristone, have some regret, and may call her friend. What do you think I should do? And if the friend knows about abortion pill reversal, then she can give her good information right away, get her to the website abortionpillreversal.com, and get her treatment in a very quick fashion. So that's why I think it's important for everybody to know about this. And for medical professionals, even those who are pro-abortion, I think they should be willing to give this very ethical treatment that does not violate anybody's ethical standards at all, but offer them if the patient changes her mind. So if someone changes her mind, this is an ethical treatment, why not offer it to her? This really should be available in all emergency departments, available from all OBGYNs, and from all primary care physicians who take care of women early in pregnancy, such as situations like threatened miscarriages. It really should be very, very easy to get it. It should be the standard of care. And I'm hoping that this will spread the word both amongst the general public and in the medical community to look at it that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, because time is of the essence with this treatment, and the sooner a woman starts progesterone after taking mifepristone, the better the chance she has of being able to save her child. And so, women coming to any physician requesting help to save their child should have access to this. As you said, it really should be standard of care. And women are not forced into this decision. You and I both know that. I don't know if you've had a similar experience, but I've had a few experiences talking to women through the Abortion Pill Reversal Network. And after talking to them, I think unfortunately they chose not to pursue the reversal process to try to save their baby. But that still ultimately is their choice. So we are not forcing women into this, but we're merely providing the opportunity if they desire to save their child, which is so important.
Right. What I like to say is we propose, but we never impose.
that's perfect. I love that. What a perfect way to phrase that. So, and of course, if people want to learn more about the scientific evidence behind abortion pill reversal, in addition to Dr. Delgado's book, you can go to AAPLOG's website, AAPLOG.org. We have a whole page on abortion pill reversal with a lot more information, and we will be having an updated practice guideline on abortion pill reversal that will be coming out very soon that Dr. Delgado helped write, and so that will be available on the website very soon. Are there any other resources you would recommend, George, for people who are interested in finding out more about abortion pill reversal?
Sure, they can go to our website, stenoinstitute.org, STENO institute.org. Lots of great articles, resources, videos there, as well as APR Science, I think it's .org also. That has a sort of a clearinghouse of all the research that's ever been done on APR.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you, George, so much for joining us today. And again, I would encourage everyone who's listening or watching to order a copy of Dr. Delgado's book. Again, that's called Abortion Pill Reversal, A Second Chance at Choice. And the links where you can order his book will be available in the show notes. Dr. Delgado, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to our listeners for joining us today. You know, we are at an inflection point in the history of medicine as the Hippocratic tradition that has always steered and ensured a life-affirming medical ethic has really come under imminent threat. But we have turned the tide with you by our side by becoming the medical voice of the pro-life movement and being a catalyst for the first ever defeats of pro-abortion ballot initiatives in 2024 by proving that doctors' voices matter. These victories were monumental, but they really were just the beginning. We are forging a new path forward for life-affirming medicine, including by promoting things like abortion pill reversal. And I want to invite you to join us on this new path forward by making an immediate impact through a donation this year end. Your gift would immediately go towards holding ideologically motivated medical associations accountable as we advance life-affirming care and celebrate the beauty of pregnancy and motherhood. Battling medical misinformation to ensure women and the public have accurate information about the harms of induced abortion and the miracle of abortion pill reversal, and fighting for the next generation of medicine so both our patients are always supported. You can support us by going to aaplog.org/donate in order to ensure that life-affirming healthcare is protected and advanced. If you liked this episode, please be sure to give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, or if you're listening on a podcast app, give us a 5-star review. We'll see you on our next episode.